Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. La paz esté contigo. I'm Student Minister Abel Muhammad, representative to the Latino community for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the Nation of Islam. It is a great honor and joy to welcome you all this evening for this special broadcast on Closing the Gap Broadcasting Network, Nuestra, NOI, Nuestra Nacion de Islam, to welcome you to this conversation tonight on a series that we are initiating tonight entitled The Woman in Islam. And we have two wonderful sisters with diverse and unique backgrounds, but both share a beautiful faith and a beautiful spirit. And we're anxious to hear from them tonight. But I want to first welcome everyone here who is joining us, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on some other streaming service that you're able to somehow bring this into your home or onto your phone, wherever you may be. We thank you because there's so many other things we could be doing tonight, but there's nothing better that we could be doing than to hear testimonies on what the presence of God and the word of God have done to change lives and save lives. So I start by opening up in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Father Muhammad. And I thank him for coming by himself, searching and finding one in whom he could deposit a word for all of us, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I thank them both for preparing one to guide us through these dark times that we live in. Dark times, but also great times, because we're being led into the light of a new day. And that man is our teacher and our example today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's in their names that I greet you. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. La paz esté contigo. The woman in Islam. I'm not going to take too much time tonight because I'm anxious to get to our sisters and invited guests this evening. But I wanted to just raise some words from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the woman. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wrote in his monumental book, A Torchlight for America. He wrote on page 58 of that book that, contrary to popular belief, one of the men who demonstrated the greatest devotion to the elevation of women through making sure our women have complete knowledge is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who envisioned women flying planes, navigating ships, and serving as ambassadors. He wanted to see women in every field of endeavor except fields that degrade them. In fact, the avenue to building respect between the sexes is that men be made to respect women for their brains instead of seeing them only as objects for sexual gratification. Women are the most important element in the nation and the world because it is through them that new life is brought forth into the world. The woman is not only the cornerstone of family, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. You can't deprive women of higher learning and produce a great nation. This is what the leadership and guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is producing in the Black woman in America, in the original nation of people and women, no matter what nationality we come from. It is raising us up and changing our condition almost overnight by the power of the word and our faith in the word that has been brought to us from God through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I could not let the night go any further before we continue without also raising up a most wonderful woman and example, the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, our dear beloved sister, Mother Tinetta Muhammad. And I wanted to raise her up as an example for us and just show her image just for a moment for those who may not be familiar with her. Because the title of our program, The Woman in Islam, is taken from a series of articles and booklets that she wrote in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper, and which were published and are available through thefinalcall.com on the woman in Islam. And in the latest edition of the Final Call newspaper, I wanted to read these brief words. She said, Mother Tinetta Muhammad, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has stated that 3/4 of his work and mission lay in the elevation, training, and reformation of our women into a higher divine knowledge of themselves and God. For a nation can rise no higher than its woman. He also stated that a man cannot perfect his wisdom without the woman. This means that 75% of our nation's present course and future progress is determined by our proper understanding of the woman's role in the divine creation and is part of the secret or mystery of God that is now revealed, which is critical to our rebirth as a nation of people. The great initiation of our women into the study of the character, life, personality of Mary and her divine connection to God is now awakening and inspiring a great spiritual regenerative movement of our women and nation throughout the Western society in particular, and comes in fulfillment of a great prophecy from which God is making his presence known first in America and then the entire world. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and this word that they are giving to us that helps women to know who they are in reference to God, that they're not man's woman, but they're the woman of God. And thanks be to Allah that he's telling us as men, so that the reality of who the woman is, so that we might properly respect her, maintain her, protect her by understanding who she belongs to. She's not ours. She belongs to God. So today, we have two sisters on our program that you're about to be introduced to. But to take us into that stage in our program, it's a great honor that I want to bring on and welcome our brother who's going to host our conversation tonight. He's our beautiful brother with roots in Miami, but also from his family in Cuba. And I'm going to invite our brother on here as our host for the evening. If you all would please welcome with a round of applause wherever you are, our brother Tony Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother Tony. Brother, I think your mic is muted.
Man.
There we go. There you go. There you go.
No, I was saying it's an honor and a pleasure to be introduced by you, my brother, and love you very much in the work that you do. And it's an honor to serve in this capacity for our nation, to elevate our people in every way imaginable. A nation rises no higher than its woman. We should encourage our sisters to go as far as they can go with their God-given talents. That's what we're taught in the Nation of Islam.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, let's bring on our sisters who will be giving a special testimony here tonight. We see Sister Amneris. We need Sister Victoria. There you are. All praise is due to Allah. Let me begin properly. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness to the oneness of Allah, who appeared and intervened in our affairs of the person of Master Father Muhammad. I'm forever thankful to Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the eternal leader of the Nation of Islam. I am thankful to them both for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In their divine names, I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, sir.
Sir.
Beloved sisters, we're going to go ahead and begin this program with the reading of your bios. Both of you kept it very short and simple. However, I know that we're going to be getting into a good discussion tonight. Sister Victoria, I'm going to begin with you. In your bio, it says that you are a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad under the divine guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She is blessed to have heard and accepted the teachings and be a part of the Nation of Islam since 2005. Registered now for over 16 years. In accepting her own and learning to be herself has been the best decision made in her 53 years of existence. Sister Victoria was born in Ecuador, South America, and brought to the United States at the age of 7. She speaks Spanish and has maintained that part of her culture alive by communicating with those who speak Spanish at any given opportunity. She embraces the culture in which she was born under and particularly loves the food, music, and people. And I'm going to add this, Sister Victoria. I know that wherever you there has been a need for you to help, you have gone out of your way to help. And so we thank you so much for your service to your nation, my sister. All praise is due to Allah. And Sister Amneris, I'm going to read your bio now. It says here that you were born in, please help me with the pronunciation, Humacao, Puerto Rico, and raised in Buffalo, New York. You were registered in 2019.
Yes, sir.
That's just a little over 2 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. It says here, you have posts that you've held in the Nation of Islam include currently you're the student recorder and secretary for the Lexington study group. That's Lexington, Kentucky. I remember we got into a conversation at Savior's Day 2020. I'm like, I'm Puerto Riqueño in Kentucky. There's
Yes,
Puerto
sir.
Ricans in Kentucky, huh?
I have
That's
that
what you
photo
said.
too.
You said yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And so it says here also in your bio, beloved sister, I work as an international regulatory and trade specialist for an agricultural company. I have the pleasure of working with people from different countries. I have 5 children, with my youngest being just 4 months old. All praises due to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
So we look forward to this wonderful, wonderful discussion that we have planned here tonight, my dear sisters. We're going to begin with this question. We're going to begin with you, Sister Amneris. How were you first exposed or introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
First, let me start off with saying, greeting everyone in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
I was first introduced, it was, nothing happens by coincidence, right? But I was scrolling through Facebook through a brother's page, and I was seeing posts of someone, this beautiful man speaking about God, and he had it posted all over his page. So I sent a message, and I was like, you know, it's beautiful to see people still share so beautifully the word of God. And just a little history behind where I stood at that time. I had dealt with a illness that was at that time considered, there was no cure for it. And I was very sick. I had gone through a few surgeries, and right before, this was in August of 2019, I was able to do what I call ringing the bell, because somehow I went into not only remission, but the disease was completely gone. All praise be to Allah. So in that, I'm still in search, and I know that there's something bigger, but not really know which direction to take. I was just very thankful for the second opportunity at life. And I stood in a position where my heart was I really was desiring to find that, which gave me that opportunity at my, that second opportunity at life. So going a little bit forward in October, I saw that post. So I sent the message and I was invited out to one of the meetings. Now, I went out to the meeting. It was the first Sunday of the month of October. So there was a webcast. And I sat there and I listened to Brother Ishmael, and everything absolutely made sense to me. It hit me directly. So I came again that Friday, and I came again that Sunday. Well, that Sunday was Holy Day of Atonement. And this beautiful man that I had seen on Facebook, which I still did not know. I did not know of the Nation of Islam. I did not know who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was. I had never heard of neither one of them. So I sat there and I watched the minister for the first time. And everything that he was saying, there was not one thing that I could pick that was false. Everything was truth. Everything hit directly with me. As you said in my bio, I work in the agricultural field. Right. And I was aware of a lot of things that were happening even before they started announcing them as much as they have now. So I was aware of the sanctions that were happening. I was aware of the issues that we were having importing crops into the US. I was aware of the issues that we were having even growing crops in the US. But it wasn't something that was being freely spoken of at the time. But here comes the minister. And of course, he was talking about all these topics that I was so familiar with. And I was just blown away. I'm like, this man really knows what he's talking about. Yes, so during the whole meeting, I think I came out of there, with a little cramp on my neck, because I bared witness the whole time I was there. And at the end of the meeting, they said, do you accept teachings? Would you like to come back? And of course, I raised my hand because I knew I had found home. I needed to know more. I wanted to know more. Just in that little dispensation of time, I was able to grasp so much information that I absolutely needed to come back. And that's kind of how I was introduced to the teachings.
All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much for your beautiful commentary, my sister. And now, Sister Victoria, I'm gonna ask you the same question, dear sister. How were you first exposed or introduced to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Thank you, brother, and Assalamu alaikum, family. Thank you for having me. And my first introduction, I call it my love story, because my brother had come into the nation. Well, he wasn't registered, but he was studying under Khalid. My brother is the youngest in the family of 6. And he used to talk to us about, things of the nation, but he was so hard. He was like, he hated, oh my goodness, he hated the white man. And it was just a little bit difficult for me at first. But he somehow got to my daughters. My daughters were young, and my daughters loved what he had to say. And they asked me if I would be okay if they didn't want to be Catholic, if they wanted to be Muslim. And I said, of course, I said, I can't, you have to follow your heart, and you have to be, who you want to be. You can't be who I am, And so, and of course, the next question was, when they were going to the mosque, my brother was taking them to the mosque, if I would join them. And I said, absolutely. At that time, I had actually been seeking, like the faith that would touch me, and that would that I felt that I belonged to. I had gone through, tried Baptist, I tried Seventh-day Adventist, non-denominational Christian, many different faiths. And I went to the Nation that day, and lo and behold, a brother Michael Muhammad in Newark, New Jersey, was speaking of the value of a woman. And I remember they sat me in the front row. I cried through the entire lecture. And when they asked if we could, if who's accepting, who was willing to accept, of course, I stood up. So it was the first time that I heard the teachings from the lecture of the value of a woman, which I had never been taught before. It was everything that I had been seeking for, and here I am, 16 years later, by Allah's grace.
Allah's
Praise be
grace.
to Allah.
All praises due to Allah. So there's a related question, but we're gonna get a little deeper. Sister Amneris, I'm gonna begin with you. What was it about the message that attracted you most? What got you most about the message?
Like I said previously, it was just the truth. Everything that I heard were facts. Even what I wasn't certain of, you always have those questions growing up. That I was raised Pentecostal and Pentecostal Christian, and there's questions that you're not allowed to ask. So it's just, as soon as I was able to relate, I received answers to questions that I had been wondering for a very long time. My student captain, MGT captain, she told me to read the Message to the Black Man. And in the first 2 chapters, everything's answered. You're no longer praying to a spook god, to something that you don't understand. Now you have your answer.
Right.
And I always follow truth. There's something about the truth that's very attractive. So it's something that as soon as I heard, it just continued to pull me in and pull me in and pull me in. And now I just want to continue learning.
Yes, ma'am. All praises due to Allah. And Sister Victoria, same question. What was about the message that attracted you the most?
For me, like I said, just learning about the value of a woman. It was something that I had never heard or I was never taught. Never thought much of myself, but as the more that I started to study and coming into my MDT class, as a mother, it just showed me so much beauty that I could be a role model, a better role model for my daughters, showing them, the strength and the value of a woman as they were young women, but, growing up, that they didn't have to be exposed to the what the world thinks that a woman should be, which is just physical attraction. So that was, I think that learning that part and that message was just key for me to hear. And for me, it was so easy for me to accept, coming in.
Yes, ma'am. All praises due to Allah. How did your family, if I could ask this question, how did your family respond to you accepting a new way of life, being a Muslim? How did they see this new direction in your life? And as I began earlier with Sister Amneris, I'm going to go with you first, my sister.
Well, the first person I told was my younger sibling. I helped my mom raise both of my younger siblings, and I told my youngest sister first, and the first reaction I got is no. She's like, "You are not Muslim. You're not turning Muslim, and I'm calling my father right now." Needless to say, now 2 years later, she was just a little bit concerned. She was upset. But I think once I started talking to her, I shared the videos of the minister talking about the woman. She feared that I would lose my identity as a woman. So when I started sharing those lectures, when I started sharing information, when she saw the difference the impact that it made in me and the difference in me, now she returns the greetings. She learned how to say the greetings, so she returns them. She'll call me and she'll first say assalamu alaikum. She's very supportive, and she's my personal cheerleader now. My mother, and I know that a lot of us so-called Latinos have a difficult time when we come into the nation because we're raised in different religions. So when you say Muslim, I know that some of my brothers and sisters have even been, disowned. I can say I don't have that. My mother was very supportive. She was so supportive that, she expressed a little bit of concern, and it took me some time to share it with her because of that, because I knew she would be concerned. But when I shared it with her, the first thing that she said was, that is the only other religion that I would be okay with you being in. And of course, to us, it's not a religion, it's a way of life. But
that's right.
To her, it was important because like she says, I love how you dress. I love how you cover yourself. I love how beautiful you look. And as long as you believe that there is only one God, I am okay with that. Of course, she has her reservations in regards to other areas, but we never get into those discussions. And, she always raised me in a way that exemplified the teachings. That's why it was so easy for me. She may not know a lot about the teachings. She's actually in our audience today, so I want to tell her, gracias, mami, por estar aquí. But she's always been supportive of me. So she was very supportive when I came in, and she continues to ask questions now. And I give her what I can, and I'll completely share it with her. And inshallah, one day I can take her to the mosque with me when I'm up in Buffalo, New York, and she'll join me.
Yes, ma'am. All praise due to Allah. Now I go to Sister Victoria. Same message, same question, my sister. How did your family respond to you accepting this new way of life, becoming, quote unquote, becoming a Muslim? We really don't become Muslims. We accept our true way of life. But how did they respond to this change that they saw in you?
Well, mine is a little bit different from Sister Amneris, but all praises due to Allah, because when you come in, of course, one of the things that we're taught, and that my brother had shared with me as he was preparing me to join and register, he had the trials and the difficulties that we have to face when we accept are real. But I did lose my family, the only family I knew, which were my brothers, my sisters, my parents. I didn't grow up, in the United States with other family members. But in that happening, having that faith that I made the right choice, it was easy. I mean, it was difficult, but it was also easy, that Allah brought ease into my heart, because in losing them, I gained so much. And Allah doesn't necessarily remove from our lives, what we think we need. But I do need my family. I do love my family. And at a time, it was very harsh. My sisters used to send me some harsh messages, the calls that I would get from my older sister, sending one of them sending me emails about beheadings because they identified it as the Muslims in the Middle East. And, so it was harsh, but a lot more, like I said, ease into my heart, and he removed them from my lives. But it's not forever, because
Right.
Allah has a way of bringing back what you need in your life back. And thus far, after 14 years, I guess, of not having much communication with my family or any communication, two of my sisters are coming back, and I have started communicating with them. And it was through some other trials that they were facing, but in the nation, the minister is one of the most beautiful examples for us of the heart that he has, that is kind, and we don't bring back, what you did to us, or in that time of need. You just present yourself and you be of service, and that's what it is. And my sisters who are now back in my life, I'm learning to they're learning to understand me and see the message, and they see me in a different light. I think that through them, the others will come around, eventually, but it God's time. But he has always held me strong, my daughters, and I have total faith in Allah, and he has brought total complete ease into my heart because of that.
All praise due to Allah. It's always I think all of us who are quote unquote Latinos, have had many trials when it comes down to presenting this new way of life to our families. Like, this is the way of life that I've accepted. And like down here in Miami, it was quite a bit different. There's so much propaganda, not just about Islam, but the minister himself. And I remember, like, on Cuban radio, my mother saying, "Yo, I'm cute. My background is Cuban, of course. There's a certain mentality down here, like ese faracón es comunista." They would start talking about those kind of things, and then I'd have to like wrestle with a whole lot of misunderstanding on the part of my family. And so for many that are tuning in, we really don't know the story of what we go through, and so it requires a lot of patience and a lot of love from our families to be the right example, to continue to try to be the example that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is showing us. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next question. How are you sisters feeling?
Oh, wonderful. Praise be to Allah.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the next question. How has Islam enhanced your life? Sister Amneris, I'm going to begin with you. How has Islam enhanced your life?
Do we have another hour? You said yes.
You could take another hour, sister. Go ahead.
Oh man, I will say all praise be to Allah. I am an MGT in GCC, and just with our training units, it has enhanced me in every single way. I am a better mother. I am a better sister. I'm a better friend. I am a better me. When you are open to self-knowledge, it's something that's you can't ignore anymore. You can't turn a blind eye to something that you've been woken up from.
That's right.
And it's just absolute in every single area, striving to be the example of a wife now as well. It's everything has enhanced in my life, especially with my children. Of course, I had 4 children before coming into the nation, and I didn't get the opportunity of raising them in the nation. But now I have the opportunity of waking them up and giving them that chance to know the truth. And it's every single thing that we do, I see the improvements even within my own family, even within my sisters, how we communicate, how I communicate with my mother. So I'm a better daughter. My thoughts are different. My thinking is different. My actions are different. Everything I do has been enhanced in a more positive way, of course. But just having that opportunity and with these teachings, being able to assist others, it's something that I love to do. I love helping. I love being available to help others. And in this, when you come into the teachings, you have the way to do it the right way. The right way. Sometimes we think we're giving advice the right way, but it's actually the wrong way. So now that you have the teachings, you can actually give advice in the correct manner.
Right.
So everything in my life has been enhanced, and I thank Allah for that. I thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad for these teachings, and I am forever thankful for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
All praises due to Allah. And Sister Victoria, same question, beloved sister. how has Islam enhanced your life?
I think the shorter question or shorter version would be how has it not?
Come on.
To Allah, that's right.
As a mother, again, Islam has enhanced me to be a role model, strong role model, because of the trials that I have gone through. That when you have faith and strong faith and true faith in a true and living God, then you can overcome anything. As a woman of faith, I understand that I'm God's woman. I'm no longer man's woman, and I don't need a man's approval to feel good or to make me feel good. God is sufficient. He becomes that ultimate source for you, and there is no substitute other than God. I remember in one of our classes, we're taught that the only person with you in the womb is God. And so therefore, there is no other substitute. He becomes that ultimate source that you seek refuge in. And so for me, that's me, that's how he has enhanced me. I no longer become a man's tool to allow them to use you. You just value yourself. You understand the value because of the sacrifices that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan have devoted their lives to teaching. 75% of the teachings is for the woman,
Right.
and so therefore that's a lot of sacrifice that is put into a woman to for her to, for my in my case, to regain the true knowledge of who I am and the value that I have in God's eyes. So I don't know. I just I feel that God is sufficient for me, and that is the biggest enhancement for me in life. That has been the best. I guess best decision that I've ever made was to become an MGT.
Yes, man,
All
praise
praise
to Allah. That's right, sis.
Got you bearing witness, Sister Amneris.
Yes,
I'm gonna
sir.
move on to our next question. Sister Amneris, I'm gonna come back to you.
Yes,
So
sir.
now our next question is, and this question is for both of you, of course. How do you see yourself contributing to the mission? It could be how you have contributed thus far and how you see yourself contributing in the future.
Yes, sir. I'll start by saying when I came into the nation, one of my first questions was, do we have this in Spanish?
Come on.
And there was limited information, but I was directed to Brother Abel. So I made it my goal to view his videos, to go over his information. And one of the things that I learned from him was one of the first things that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to him was to study your history. So that's what I strived to do, is study my history as a Puerto Rican, as a so-called Latina. And right now, that is my goal, is to reach those that do not speak English. My mom made sure that as we were growing up, we were not allowed to speak any English in the house. We had to speak only Spanish. She said once we were out those doors, she was okay with us speaking English, but in the house, solo español. So I thank Allah for that, because I did not do the same thing, and my oldest children do not speak Spanish. So now I'm going backwards and trying to teach them Spanish. But I bring that up to say, when I first joined, I remember going to a friend's house, and of course we don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but she was a close friend and I wanted to be there. And I went to visit her, and I remember sitting at her table, and she was talking to me about the activities that her and her husband and her children were doing. And my heart broke, because I was sitting there and I was looking at soldiers, and I didn't have information to give to her, and she didn't speak Spanish. So I kind of cried a little in my heart that day because I didn't have a lot of information that I could provide to her, or even lectures that I could guide her to in Spanish. It was just limited information. So my mission is to provide more of that. So that is one thing that I know that I want to contribute to our nation is translations, Spanish videos. One of the projects that I am currently working on, which has been discussed with Brother Abel, Brother Tony, as well, is I am working on a series of interviews with our Spanish-speaking registered members of the nation.
Yes, ma'am.
So that I can do the interviews in Spanish and give that familiar face to those that may come into the nation or may look at the nation and not think that they belong, and I want to make sure that I can do whatever I can to do that. I remember when I first came in, I brought the idea to my student captain and told her, well, can we do a translated version? I'm willing to translate the whole lecture if I have to. And I had Brother Abel's lecture, The Black and the Brown. I translated the whole thing. It took me 6 days to translate.
Wow.
And my study group was so supportive of me. They were so supportive. We went out, we made little flyers, and we distributed them in the neighborhood, in the Spanish-speaking neighborhoods, and, to invite them out. And I sat there, and while Brother Abel was speaking in English, I spoke in Spanish, and I translated the whole thing. And I was so nervous because I've never been one to be out and give public speech, but it was in my heart to do that. And that's what's in my heart. It is to reach those that there's so many out there that do not speak English, that maybe haven't touched on the teachings. My mom didn't know who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was. She knows now because of me. And I want to be able to contribute to others learning who this beautiful man in our midst, this Jesus in our midst is today, through me. I want to help. And that's basically one of the things that I'm striving and aiming to do is what can I do within my nation to make sure that it reaches every corner of the earth, right? So translations, trying to reach those that do not know the language, and but the biggest project right now that I'm working on, slowly but surely, is these interviews so I can start bringing our stories of those like Sister Victoria, such as mine, and others within the nation to everyone else.
Yes, ma'am. I think some of the interviews are going to be in Spanglish.
Yes,
so
sir.
we definitely got to brush up on our Spanish before we get interviewed. And we thank you so much for your service, my sister. And you are coming into your own and your divine mission here in the Nation of Islam. And may Allah continue to bless you in your work. Now I go to Sister Victoria. Hermana Victoria. So same question, beloved sister.
Yes.
How do you see yourself contributing in the mission? How have you contributed? What work have you done? And I know that you've done plenty of work.
Brother, praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am.
I hear my sister in the that's such a beautiful spirit, and I pray that Allah blesses her with great success because I want to see more of our people. The most saddened thing for me is to go to a Savior's Day and just have a group of 16, 20 of us, and where are we?
Aquí estamos.
I know, but. That work is so greatly necessary, and I am not one to be seen. I always work behind the scenes. That's my, I guess if you would call it, forte. But I have always loved serving our people, the less fortunate, if you will, the homeless. And here in Atlanta, we have the program where we feed the homeless, and on Sundays. And prior to COVID, since I started, since I came into the nation and here, I always cooked for them with the breakfast program. And for me, that's the greatest feeling. I think it was to be able to serve them in the same manner that I would serve myself or anyone with the foods that we would eat, and set the table up for them to make them feel that they are loved, that they are valued, even if it's just for that one particular day. And prior to coming into the nation, I used to do that with just a group of 10 friends. We used to rent the Coalition for the Homeless, the kitchen, and we would cook, pick up a storm and open up the doors and serve them there with my daughters. When they were young, they would serve the drinks. And coming to the nation, it was just, having that program was just fitting for me. And I love to serve our people. And prior to going to MDT class on Saturdays, I used to go with one of my friends. We used to cook, prepare big meals, and from the trunk of our cars, we would just open up the trunks, and next thing you knew, we had a huge line where we just served our people. And they are beautiful. We don't have to fear them because they protect us. Just having the uniform, they recognize us, and it was just a beautiful time for me. So serving our people, that's where I fit. Just serving the homeless, making them feel their value, that God loves them, and that the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan loves them. And this is where it's coming from, in us serving them in the same manner that we would serve ourselves or our families.
And Sister Victoria, I'm going to say this. I know that out of a lot of those breakfast programs that we have in the Nation of Islam, that we've had them in California and in Atlanta and in other cities, out of that have come many registered members of the Nation of Islam, brothers and sisters that have lost their way, are living in the street, but now because someone cared about them, someone expressed care, love for them, now they found their way now towards a better place in space. Now they found God, and they started walking in that path because they found out that someone cared about them and someone loved them. All praise due to Allah. You are one of them, Sister Victoria, and Sister Amneris, you too, in going out of your way to do the work that you are doing. And so I'm going to move on to, we have another question here set. And if there's any questions from the audience, if you have any questions for our sisters, we may have a little bit of time to answer questions, for our sisters to answer any questions that you may have. You can please post those in the chat. But I'm going to go into this question right here, beloved sisters. How has the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan affected how you identify yourself as a so-called Latina? And Sister Amneris, in our tradition in this program, I'm going to begin with you, beloved sister.
Well, I will say, Brother Tony, now it's not so-called, we are so-called Latinos, but we are the original Aboriginals. So that is so much more power in that. I remember I used to not even like to be called Puerto Rican. I used to like to be called Boricua. Right. Because that was important to me. But in like I said, going back to our history and then attaching these teachings to it, it's just so much more than that. I know the history of Puerto Rico, how it was taken over, what happened in Puerto Rico. I would never have gone back into that if it wasn't for these teachings. I know the history. I didn't connect with me being Black. That's something I can be completely honest about. I never connected with the slavery. I knew that in Puerto Rico there was slavery, but I never connected with the slavery that was happening here, that is still happening. I never connected with that. To me, it was something outside of myself. But now it's not, I'm a Latina, so-called Latina. I am an original Aboriginal in the Nation of Islam, and I cannot be blind to everything that's happening around me. It's absolutely changed my perspective into what a so-called Latino is. It's a lot more than that. I'm home right now. before I was completely lost. I don't know where I was at and I don't know what I was thinking, but these teachings completely change your perspective when it comes to who you are as a so-called Latino.
All praise due to Allah. And now we're going to be hearing from Sister Victoria. Same exact question, my sister. How has the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan affected how you identify yourself as a so-called Latina?
Oh, my dear brother, coming into the classroom of God, our teachings show us that we are no longer, we no longer identify ourselves geographically. We identify ourselves as universal beings, and in doing so, when we identify ourselves as geographically, we kind of set limits to ourselves. But when we start learning about who we are and that we were created in the image and likeness of God, that means that we have the essence of God. And that is our true identity, when we start identifying ourselves within that essence, and we're returning back to connecting back to the original source of power, which is God himself, Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And Student Minister Abel, are you still with us, my brother? There he is. I summoned him into existence. No, I'm joking. Brother Abel, you wanted to make a comment? I think he froze up. Okay, now he's back. Oh, you're muted, Brother Abel.
All right, can you all hear me now?
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
It keeps I'm working with dual cameras and one of them seems to be malfunctioning. But I wanted to just come on here as we begin to close the program to thank Allah for both of your testimonies that you've given tonight. All the messages we keep getting, people are just so inspired by what they're hearing from you. And I wanted to make sure that we mention, that, with Allah's permission, this is just the first of these types of conversations that we're going to have with our sisters and other believers as well. But I wanted to make sure, you were alluding to it and we're addressing it towards the end there. But I wanted to give each of you an opportunity, if there was something you could say to our brothers and sisters who may be watching from Puerto Rico, from Ecuador, from Bolivia, from Mexico, from Cuba, and who have been interested, who've heard this man who speaks of God, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but may not necessarily know who he is or know that he's for them as well. As many times, once they get close, they see nothing but Black people from America. They don't necessarily see that face that they see today on this broadcast. But there's one thing, whether it's a Black man from America or a Black woman from Ecuador or a Black woman from Puerto Rico, there is a union and unity of spirit and faith. And I wanted to give each of you an opportunity to just, if you would, speak to those from the communities not necessarily born in the United States, but who may be here referred to as immigrants, referred to as Latinos, quote unquote, right? If you could have an opportunity, which we'll give you right now, to just share a word, what would you encourage them in regards to these teachings that have done so much for you personally? Whoever wants to answer first, we'll put you on camera here, but let me know who would want to go first.
Oh, I can start, brother. To me, I think that we view when we start learning, and whether we call ourselves Muslim, we call ourselves Catholics, we all are born and created with that essence of God, if that image and likeness of God. And so when we start seeing each other, the same way that with that good, with that part of God in us, when we start seeing it in self, we start seeing it in others, and we start valuing others for who they are and respecting each other for, we're all created in his image and likeness, but we all have our own personalities, characters, and uniqueness that God input in us, which we call gifts, and talents and so forth. So it's just the first part to me is learning who we are, learning about the role of a man, role of a woman. And we were all created with a purpose, and the woman and the man have a purpose. And I think that when we start learning of self, to me, that's the first part of learning to understand one another. Because when we understand self, then we can understand others. If that makes sense, I just feel that kindness, respect for one another is key always, whether we agree or disagree with one another. It just should be that a mutual respect, because sometimes we don't understand. I don't understand everything, of the teachings, but with Allah's grace and mercy and, with patience, I hope to come to the understanding of those things that I don't fully understand right now. And all I have to do is, maintain in that classroom of God, continue my with that open-mindedness, and allow Allah, to come in when we open the doors, our ears, our hearts, our minds, to allow God to come in us. He will dwell in us, and he becomes that voice, that speaks to us. We have that little devil and that angel in each other, in our shoulders, and that voice is God. But each time that we choose to listen to the wrong side, we start to kill that voice, and that's the voice of God that dwells in us, so that's my take.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then Sister Amneris.
Praise be to Allah. That was beautiful, Sister Victoria, and I couldn't have said any better words than that. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. And I will add on to that, it's not about what it looks like. I think you need to really study, come try, we say in Puerto Rico, intentarlo. It's not about, this sister wearing this or this and how she looks or how she, vengan y trátenlo. Especially those that, like you said, may be watching us from Puerto Rico, from Latin America. It may be spotty with not so much Spanish, but you can always reach out to me. You can always reach out to Brother Abel. You can reach out to Brother Tony. You can reach out to any of us. And if something is maybe confusing or you're not understanding a lecture and you may want help understanding that, I am more than willing to assist with that. I want to make myself available to those that need help in that area. My mother asks me, I don't have a problem going through that. And if I don't know a word, I reach out to Brother Abel to make sure that I get the best word to use in certain situations. These teachings aren't easy to translate. We don't want to lose not one meaning behind a word. We don't want to lose the meaning behind anything. So some things take time, and it has taken time for us to translate certain things, but we're working on that. I know Brother Abel's diligently working on that. I know I'm assisting and working on that. I know all of us are working in specific areas. And to those that may have difficulty even in this broadcast and may be tuning in, we're here. We are here. And I saw many comments say that we are here. So we're here to help, to assist, to be able to assist in whichever way we can. Like I said, we're a village. It's not just one. It's not just, we're not separate. We're all united in this. It's Nuestra Nacion, right? So we are here to help each other. And that's really
praise be to Allah. And Brother Tony, I didn't want to close out without giving you an opportunity if you wanted to share, sir.
Brother Abel, a nation, like I said earlier, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that a nation rises no higher than its women. So this is sacred territory right here. When we give our sisters a platform, an opportunity to express in such a beautiful way how they came into the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, how they came into the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and how it's enhanced their lives, how it's changed their life for the better. And in truth, if the woman cannot be empowered, if the woman cannot be resurrected, then none of us could be resurrected as men. We cannot be. And so the measure and standard of a nation is the woman. And so we implore our sisters, we thank our sisters, we encourage our sisters to keep going and be the light of our community. When they go out, everyone takes a look like, wow, look at these sisters. They see what God can transform in the human being. And so I'm very thankful to Allah for our sisters and the beautiful example that they exhibit. All praise is due to Allah.
All praise is due to Allah. And I wanted to thank you both, as well as Brother Tony, for being with us.
Honor, sir. It's an honor,
this
sir.
evening and doing such a absolute, just magnificent job. Great. And I had to take out the earpiece.
Good witness. Oh, Brother Abel's breaking up a little bit. Kind of like he did the freeze. He'll be right back.
Okay, can you all hear me? Yeah. So I wanted to wrap it up for everyone here, and just remind everyone at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a message where you can follow us to get more information, where you'll find information specifically as it relates to so-called Latinos, quote unquote. Follow us at Nuestra NOI on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. You can message us, send us info, let us know what your questions are, what you want to learn about. Ask questions and learn all about yourself. This is what we're here for. We're in the process of learning more and more. And as you could tell from our beautiful sisters, when we learn something, we're more than happy and joyous to share it with others, because what it has done for us, we know what it'll do for you as well.
That's right.
So we thank Allah for this gathering tonight. We want to make sure that everyone goes online, the platform that we're on, Closing the Gap broadcast, to support the work that we're doing. It's not just Nuestra NOI, but the research minister is on here. Closing the Gap has the youth on here. And of course, Brother Student Minister Chad and Student Minister James, along with Sister Starla, do a wonderful job week after week of presenting more Closing the Gap programming and questions and answers and information for us. So make a donation to support the work that is being done. And of course, quiero decir esta parte en español, si quieren aprender más, hay suficiente de nosotros que hablamos en español y podemos empezar a explicar algo de esto que es nuestra fe, el Islam, en particular como ha sido representada y enseñada por el honorable Elijah Muhammad y el honorable ministro Louis Farrakhan. So, estamos aquí para servirles, para ser sus hermanos y sus hermanas en este camino tan difícil de la vida. Siempre necesitamos apoyo, siempre necesitamos algo que nos ayuda, no solamente sentirnos mejor, pero mejorarnos nosotros mismos. Y esta palabra que se nos ha dado por Dios en la persona del maestro Fard Mohammed es absolutamente la verdad, y nosotros en nuestro testimonio de nuestras bocas, pero más el testimonio de cómo vivimos nuestras vidas.
Es así.
Podemos declarar con confianza que esto es la verdad, que nos va a levantar fuera de cualquier condición y nos va a poner en posición mejor y en posición que Dios mismo ha declarado para nosotros. And all I'm saying is that this word is the word of God.
That's
and
right.
We're not just witnesses with our mouth, but we're witnesses with our life. that the word that we have received from God will absolutely raise us up out of any condition and put us in the place that God has set and designated for us. May Almighty God Allah bless us all. Tune in tomorrow for Juma prayer at 1 o'clock at noi.org, 1
Yes,
o'clock
sir.
Central Standard Time. Sisters, hermanas, si quieren aprender más de estas enseñanzas, sisters, if you want to learn more about these teachings, you go to your local Muhammad mosque or contact Sister Victoria, contact Sister Amneris, so that they can get you more information. We must take time and learn about ourselves so that we may be better. And Sunday, tune in at 10 a.m. Central, noi.org, to hear student minister Ishmael Muhammad speak on Up with Jesus.
And down with Santa.
Down with Santa.
Brother Abel just froze up right in the middle of that title. We'll just give our brother just a moment. He'll come right back on.
There I am.
Yeah, we said the title. We said the title already.
The moment I said Up with Jesus,
I know.
Down with Santa.
That was the enemy,
They
brother.
mixed it up.
Yes, sir.
Porque queremos levantar el nombre de Jesús.
Sí, señor.
Santa Claus no es para nosotros.
No.
Eso es así.
Ni es realidad. Queremos la realidad y la verdad de Jesús. And that's what we're going to get, the reality and truth of Jesus.
Right.
So may Allah bless us all. Que Dios bendiga a cada uno y sus familias. May God bless each of you and your families. As we greet you in peace this evening, les mandamos saludos esta noche. En árabe decimos Assalamu alaikum. In Arabic we say Assalamu alaikum, que significa la paz sea con usted, which means in English, peace be unto you. Thank you for joining us, and good night.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, family.
Family.